Steele slammed the front door of his cozy Seattle suburb home, his heart pounding like a drum in a thunderstorm. The living room, usually filled with the laughter of his husband Jordan and their foster son Timmy, was eerily silent, the only sound the distant hum of the refrigerator. On the coffee table lay a single note in Mike's familiar scrawl. "I'm sorry, but this was never yours to keep." Steele's mind reeled back to how it all started, 10 years ago in the rainy streets of Portland, where he and Mike had been tossed around foster homes like unwanted luggage. They weren't blood brothers, but the system had made them family. Two lost boys clinging to each other through beatings, neglect, and the cold indifference of caseworkers. Steele, the older one by 2 years, had always protected Mike, sharing his food, defending him in schoolyard fights, dreaming of a day when they'd escape the cycle. But dreams diverged. Steele worked his way through community college, landing a steady job as a graphic designer. While Mike bounced from one dead-end gig to another, his resentment brewing like dark coffee. When Steele came out as gay at 22, Mike had been the first to hug him, saying, "You're still my brother, man. Nothing changes that." It felt like solidarity then, but now Steele wondered if it was just the first crack in their bond. Meeting Jordan changed everything. It was at a local LGBTQ support group, where Jordan, a soft-spoken elementary school teacher with kind eyes and a laugh that could melt ice, shared his story of growing up in a conservative family that disowned him. Steele was drawn to his quiet strength, the way he turned pain into purpose. Their first date was a simple walk along the Willamette River, talking until the stars came out. Within a year, they were married in a small ceremony at City Hall, surrounded by friends who'd become their chosen family. "We're building something real here," Jordan whispered during their vows, and Steele believed it with every fiber of his being. The decision to foster came naturally. Both men had endured broken childhoods. Steele in the system, Jordan rejected by his blood, and they wanted to give back. After months of classes, home visits, and paperwork that felt like climbing Everest, they welcomed Timmy, a wide-eyed 7-year-old with a stutter and a backpack full of trauma. Timmy's biological parents had lost custody due to addiction, and the boy arrived wary, clutching a stuffed bear like a lifeline. But under Jordan's patient guidance, he blossomed, learning to read without fear, giggling at Steele's silly drawings, calling them Dad and Papa in tentative whispers that grew confident. Mike re-entered their lives unexpectedly. He'd shown up at their door one rainy evening 2 years ago, disheveled and broke after another failed relationship. "I need a place to crash, bro," he'd said, eyes pleading. Steele couldn't turn him away. The foster brother who'd shared his bunk beds, his secrets, his survival. Jordan was hesitant, sensing Mike's underlying bitterness, but Steele insisted. "He's family," he argued, and Jordan relented, though his smiles around Mike were always a bit forced. At first, it seemed okay. Mike got a job at a warehouse, helped with chores, even bonded with Timmy over video games. But cracks appeared. Mike would make offhand comments about real families, questioning why two men thought they could raise a kid properly. "Society's not ready for this, you know," he'd say during dinner, fork waving like a conductor's baton. Steele brushed it off as ignorance, trying to educate him gently, but Jordan grew tense, his jaw clenching. One night, after Timmy was asleep, the argument erupted. Mike had been drinking, his words slurring as he accused Steele of abandoning him for this fancy life. "You think you're better than me now? With your husband and your kid? I was your family first." Jordan stepped in, voice steady. "Mike, you're welcome here, but not if you're going to tear us down." Mike stormed out, but he came back the next day apologetic, and Steele forgave him again. As months passed, Mike's presence wove deeper into their routine. He volunteered at Timmy's school events when Jordan couldn't, earning the boy's trust. Steele saw it as progress, Mike finally growing up. But Jordan confided his doubts. "He's too involved, Steele. It's like he's trying to replace us." Steele dismissed it, not wanting to choose between his past and his present. Then came the adoption push. With Timmy's case moving toward permanency, Steele and Jordan applied to adopt him legally. It was a dream, a real family, bound by more than foster papers. They celebrated with a backyard barbecue, friends toasting their future. Mike was there, smiling, but his eyes held something Steele couldn't place. Envy, perhaps, or calculation. Little did Steele know, Mike had been planting seeds of doubt elsewhere. Whispers to social workers about instability in the home. Anonymous tips to Jordan's school board questioning his fitness as a teacher due to his lifestyle. Society's undercurrents of homophobia provided fertile ground. Even in progressive Seattle, prejudices lingered in bureaucracy. The first blow came when Jordan's principal called him in, citing complaints from concerned parents about a gay man teaching young kids. Jordan fought it, but the stress mounted. Steele supported him, but their arguments increased. Jordan blaming Mike, Steele defending him out of loyalty. He's changed, Steele insisted, but deep down, uncertainty gnawed. Timmy noticed the tension, his stutter returning during family dinners. "Is everything okay, Papa?" he'd ask Jordan, who forced a smile. Steele felt the family he'd built slipping, but he clung tighter, unaware that Mike was the one prying it apart. By the end of that year, Mike had moved out, claiming independence, but he stayed close, too close. He started picking Timmy up from school without asking, filling the boy's head with stories of their shared foster past. "Your dad and I, we were like real brothers," Mike would say, emphasizing real. Timmy, hungry for connection, latched on. The turning point was a custody hearing. Steele and Jordan arrived hopeful, but the judge cited new evidence of relational strain and questions about the home's suitability for a child from a traditional background. Whispers of Mike's involvement surfaced. He'd testified anonymously, claiming Steele had a history of instability from their foster days, twisting old stories to paint Steele as unfit. Jordan's face paled as the decision came. Temporary removal of Timmy to a neutral placement while investigations continued. "This can't be happening," Steele whispered. But it was. As they left the courthouse, Mike was waiting outside, his expression a mix of triumph and regret. "I did it for the kid," he said softly. "He needs a real family." Steele's world cracked. How could the brother he'd saved betray him so deeply? Emotions swirled. Rage, heartbreak, confusion. Jordan held his hand, but even that felt fragile now. The dream family was fracturing, and the man responsible was the one Steele had once called kin. The weeks following the hearing blurred into a nightmare of phone calls, lawyer meetings, and empty bedrooms. Steele paced the house like a ghost, staring at Timmy's untouched toys, while Jordan buried himself in work to avoid the silence. "We have to fight this," Jordan said one evening, his voice cracking for the first time. Steele nodded, but inside, betrayal festered like an open wound. Mike's actions weren't random. They stemmed from years of unspoken grudges. Back in foster care, Steele had been the golden child, smarter, more adaptable, the one caseworkers praised. Mike, with his temper and learning disabilities, was labeled the problem. When Steele aged out at 18, he promised to help Mike, but life pulled him forward. College, jobs, Jordan. Mike saw it as abandonment, his letters from group homes going unanswered as Steele built his new life. Now, Mike lived in a rundown apartment across town, but he visited Timmy at the temporary foster home, positioning himself as the stable uncle figure. Social services, swayed by his tales of shared history, allowed it. Blood isn't everything, but history matters, the caseworker told Steele during a tense meeting. Steele wanted to scream that Mike wasn't blood either, but logic drowned in emotion. Jordan's job hung by a thread. The school board investigation dragged on, fueled by anonymous emails. Mike's handiwork, Steele suspected. Parents petitioned, citing moral concerns. A code for homophobia that made Steele's blood boil. How is loving each other immoral? Jordan asked in therapy sessions they now attended, his optimism fading. Steele held him close, whispering assurances, but doubt crept in. Was there love enough against society's biases? Friends rallied around them. Sarah, a lesbian colleague of Jordan's, organized fundraisers for legal fees. "This is bigger than you two," she said. "It's about fighting for queer families." But not everyone supported. Jordan's estranged sister called, offering prayers laced with judgment. Maybe this is a sign to reconsider your choices. Steele hung up, furious at the world's cruelty. Mike confronted Steele at a coffee shop, his face gaunt. I didn't mean for it to go this far, he admitted, stirring his cup endlessly. But Timmy deserves better than this. He gestured vaguely, implying their gay marriage. Steele's fists clenched. Better than what? Love? Stability? You're the one causing chaos. Mike leaned in, eyes fierce. You left me behind, Steele. Now you're playing house, pretending you're normal. But we're not normal, we're foster kids. Damaged goods. The words stung because they echoed Steele's deepest fears. Had he overreached, thinking he could escape his past? Jordan sensed his turmoil that night. Don't let him get in your head, he urged. But Steele pulled away, sleeping on the couch for the first time. As the investigation deepened, more conflicts arose. Timmy's biological relatives surfaced. A distant aunt influenced by Mike's outreach, claiming interest in custody. She was straight, married, traditional. And suddenly the system favored her. Steele and Jordan attended mediation, where accusations flew, questions about their lifestyle impacting Timmy's development. Outdated studies cited on same-sex parenting. This is discrimination, their lawyer argued. But the mediator's sympathetic nods felt hollow. Jordan broke down after one session. What if they're right? What if we're hurting him? Steele pulled him into an embrace. No, we're his family. Love isn't a debate. But privately, Steele questioned his choices, inviting Mike back, ignoring warning signs. Emotions warred. Loyalty to his foster brother versus protecting his marriage. Mike escalated. He started a social media campaign, anonymous at first, painting Steele as an unfit guardian based on exaggerated foster stories. Posts went viral in conservative circles. Gay couple steals child from real family? Likes poured in, comments vicious. Steele's work suffered. Clients pulled projects, fearing association. It's just backlash, his boss said. But the damage was done. In a moment of desperation, Steele drove to Mike's apartment. Why? He demanded, voice raw. Mike stood in the doorway, defiant. Because I love Timmy too, and I can give him what you can't. A normal life, without the stares, the judgments. Steele saw the pain in his eyes, the mirror of their shared trauma. You're destroying us, he whispered. Mike shrugged. Maybe you destroyed me first. The conversation haunted Steele. Back home, Jordan waited with dinner, but the air was thick. We need to talk about Mike, Jordan said gently. Steele nodded, finally ready to confront the past. But as they spoke, a call came. Timmy wanted to see Mike more, calling him Uncle Mike. Jordan's face fell. He's winning, he murmured. Social conflicts mounted. At a community meeting for LGBTQ rights, Steele spoke out, his story drawing applause but also hecklers. Kids need a mom and dad, one shouted, echoing societal divides. Jordan stood by him, but the strain showed, nights of silent dinners, touches that felt obligatory. Yet hope flickered. Their lawyer uncovered Mike's manipulations. Forged documents, lied testimonies. We can fight back, she said. Steele felt a spark of resolve, but the cost was high. Friendships fractured. Some sided with Mike, seeing him as the underdog. He's family, they echoed Steele's old words. As winter set in, the custody battle intensified. Timmy's therapist reported confusion. He loved Steele and Jordan, but felt pulled by Mike's promises of adventures like we had as kids. Steele's heart ached. Those adventures were survival, not joy. One evening, Jordan confessed, I'm scared we're losing everything. Steele held him, vowing to fix it. But deep down, he wondered if choices born from loyalty could ever mend what betrayal had broken. The climax loomed, society's judgments and personal demons colliding in a storm that threatened to wash away their dream. The courtroom air was thick with tension, fluorescent lights buzzing like angry bees. Steele sat beside Jordan, their hands clasped under the table, as the judge reviewed the latest reports. Mike was there too, across the aisle, avoiding eye contact but radiating a quiet confidence that made Steele's stomach churn. Evidence mounted against Mike. Emails traced back to him. Witnesses recanting after admitting coercion. But the damage lingered. Timmy's aunt, bolstered by Mike's encouragement, pushed for full custody, her lawyer arguing cultural fit in veiled terms that screamed bias. The child needs a stable, traditional environment, he intoned, ignoring studies on queer parenting success. Steele's lawyer countered with data, testimonials from Timmy's teachers praising his progress under Steele and Jordan's care. Outside court, protests formed, LGBTQ advocates on one side, conservative groups on the other, chanting slogans that turned personal lives into political fodder. Steele felt exposed, his family's fate debated like a headline. Jordan, ever the optimist, whispered, "Truth will win." But his eyes betrayed exhaustion. At home, the strain peaked. Jordan snapped during an argument about strategy. "You let Mike in. Your brother. Look what he's done." Steele recoiled, guilt flooding him. "I thought family meant forgiveness." Jordan softened, pulling him close. "Family is what we choose. And I choose you, us." Their kiss was desperate, a reminder of why they fought. Mike's motivations unraveled in therapy sessions. Steele insisted on attending together. "I was jealous," Mike admitted under the counselor's gaze. "You got out, Steele. Got the life I wanted. When I saw you with Jordan and Timmy, it hurt. Like you replaced me." Steele's anger softened to pity. "I never replaced you, but you can't steal my happiness to fill your void." Mike cried then, the first crack in his armor. But reconciliation was fleeting. Mike doubled down, testifying that Steele's unconventional household confused Timmy, citing incidents twisted from truth. The judge, an older man with conservative leanings, nodded thoughtfully, sending chills down Steele's spine. Social media exploded. Save Timmy trending with memes mocking gay dads. Jordan's school placed him on leave, parents pulling kids from his class. "It's not fair," Jordan wept. Steele held him, vowing vengeance, not violence but justice. Friends divided. Some, like Sarah, organized rallies. Others distanced, fearing backlash. Jordan's sister reappeared, offering conditional support. "If you leave this lifestyle." Jordan hung up, but the words lingered, eroding his resolve. Steele saw him withdrawing, spending hours alone. "Are we worth this fight?" Jordan asked one night. Steele's heart broke. "You're worth everything." The controversial twist came when Mike revealed a secret. He'd applied for custody himself, claiming emotional bonds from their foster past. "I'm straight, single, but I know the system," he argued in court. Gasps echoed. Even the aunt looked surprised. Steele felt betrayed anew. Mike wasn't just sabotaging, he was claiming the prize. "How could you?" Steele confronted him later. Mike's response: "Timmy needs someone who understands brokenness, not your perfect illusion." Society's conflicts amplified. News outlets picked up the story. Gay couple versus foster brother. Who deserves the child? Interviews painted Steele and Jordan as activists, Mike as the victim. Public opinion split. Progressives rallied for equality. Traditionalists for normality. Steele received hate mail, Jordan death threats. Their home felt like a fortress. Windows shuttered against prying eyes. In a quiet moment, Timmy visited under supervision. "I miss you, Dad," he said to Steele, then to Jordan. But to Mike, "Uncle Mike says you'll be okay without me." Steele's rage boiled, but he stayed calm for the boy. "We love you, Timmy. That's forever." The visit ended in tears, Timmy clinging as he left. Jordan hit rock bottom after. "Maybe we should let go," he murmured, eyes distant. Steele refused. "That's what they want, to break us." They recommitted, attending couples counseling, rebuilding intimacy through shared pain. The hearing resumed with high stakes. Witnesses testified. Timmy's teacher lauding Jordan's influence. A psychologist affirming the boy's attachment to both men. But Mike's lawyer dropped a bomb. Old records from foster care showing Steele's teenage run-ins with authority, framed as instability. Steele explained, "That was survival, not character." The judge deliberated. tension palpable. Outside, Steele and Jordan walked hand in hand through protesters, heads high. "No matter what, we have each other," Jordan said. Steele nodded, but fear gnawed. What if love wasn't enough against a world stacked against them? Mike approached post-hearing. "I'm sorry," he whispered, but apologies felt empty now. As the decision loomed, emotions crested. Hope, despair, anger intertwining in a dramatic crescendo that would define their futures. The judge's gavel fell like a thunderclap, echoing through the packed courtroom. "After careful consideration," he began, his voice steady, "custody is awarded to the aunt, with visitation rights for Mr. Thompson and Mr. Ellis pending review." Steele's world shattered. Jordan gasped, gripping his arm. Mike's face remained stoic, but a flicker of regret crossed it as Timmy was led away, confused eyes searching for his dad's. The aftermath was chaos. Media swarmed outside, microphones thrusting like weapons. "How do you feel about the ruling?" one reporter shouted. Steele muttered, devastated, while Jordan pulled him away, tears streaming. Protests erupted, signs reading "Love Wins," clashing with "Protect Children." Society's divide laid bare, their story a flashpoint for debate on queer rights versus traditional values. At home, silence reigned. Steele stared at the wall, replaying choices, trusting Mike, ignoring red flags. Jordan packed Timmy's things for the aunt, each item a dagger. "We can appeal," he said mechanically, but hope felt distant. Friends called with condolences, but words rang hollow. Sarah visited, furious. "This is bigotry, plain and simple." Steele agreed, but exhaustion muted his fire. Mike vanished for days, then texted, "Meet me?" Steele agreed, rage simmering. At a park bench overlooking Puget Sound, Mike sat hunched. "I thought I was helping," he confessed. "But I see now I was selfish." Steele exploded. "Selfish? You stole our family." Mike winced. "I wanted what you had, purpose, but I ruined it." For the first time, Steele saw Mike not as betrayer, but as broken, mirroring his own scars. "We could have built something together," Steele said softly. Mike nodded, tears falling. Too late. The appeal process began, grueling and costly. Their lawyer uncovered more. Mike's aunt alliance was strategic, promising him involvement. Controversial leaks showed judges' biases, past rulings against same-sex couples. Advocacy groups jumped in, filing amicus briefs, turning their case national. "This is about equality," a spokesperson declared on TV. Steele and Jordan became reluctant symbols, interviewed on podcasts, their emotions dissected. Jordan struggled most. His school fired him amid scandal, citing distractions. "Years of teaching gone," he lamented. Steele quit his job to focus on the fight, freelancing from home. Money tightened, stress mounted, arguments over finances, blame resurfacing. "If you'd cut Mike off sooner." Jordan trailed off. Steele apologized, pulling him close. "We'll rebuild." Timmy's letters arrived, supervised scribbles. "I miss you. Uncle Mike visits." Jealousy stung, but Steele focused on positives. They volunteered at LGBTQ youth centers, channeling pain into purpose. "If not for us, for others," Jordan said, finding solace in helping kids like them. Mike's redemption arc twisted. He withdrew support for the aunt, testifying in appeal, "I was wrong. Steele and Jordan are the best parents." The court stirred, controversial flip-flop drawing scrutiny. Was it genuine or manipulation? Steele forgave tentatively, inviting Mike for coffee. "Why now?" he asked. Mike shrugged. "Seeing Timmy sad. It broke me." Jordan remained wary. Actions, not words. Society's backlash intensified. Conservative pundits decried activist judges, while progressives hailed potential victory. Death threats arrived, forcing security measures. Steele and Jordan's marriage strained under spotlight. Intimacy faded, replaced by strategy sessions. "Remember why we started?" Steele urged one night, recreating their first date with a riverside picnic. Jordan smiled faintly. "I do." The appeal hearing brought climax. New judge, more progressive, reviewed evidence afresh. Timmy testified via video, voice small. "I want to go home with Dad and Papa." Hearts swelled. Mike's testimony sealed it, admitting jealousy, praising their love. The aunt faltered, her motives questioned. As deliberations dragged, Steele reflected on choices loyalty's cost, forgiveness's power. Jordan leaned on him. "Whatever happens, we're family." Mike waited outside, a tentative ally now. Tensions peaked, emotions raw, as the verdict neared, promising resolution or further heartbreak. The courtroom hushed as the new judge entered, papers in hand. "Based on new evidence and testimonies," she announced, "custody is restored to Mr. Thompson and Mr. Ellis, with supervised visits for the biological aunt." Cheers erupted from supporters. Steele and Jordan embraced, sobs mingling with joy. Mike nodded from the back, a small smile breaking through. Timmy rushed in later, hugging them fiercely. Home! Reintegration was gradual. Timmy returned with questions. "Why did Uncle Mike do that?" Steele explained gently. "Sometimes hurt people hurt others, but we forgive." Jordan added stories of resilience, rebuilding trust night by night. The house filled with laughter again, though scars remained. Timmy's occasional nightmares, Jordan's job hunt. Mike hovered on the edges, attending family therapy. "I want to make amends," he said. Steele allowed limited contact, boundaries firm. "You're family, but trust is earned." Mike nodded, starting his own counseling, confronting demons. Society watched. Their story inspired bills for queer family protections, but opposition persisted, labeling it agenda-pushing. Steele and Jordan's marriage strengthened through fire. They adopted Timmy officially, celebrating with a vow renewal, friends, even Mike toasting unity. "We chose this life," Jordan whispered. Steele agreed, emotions overflowing. Gratitude, love, caution. Years passed. Timmy thrived, excelling in school, proud of his two dads. Mike built his own life, a mechanic with a girlfriend, visiting occasionally. Conflicts faded, but lessons endured. Society's progress slow, personal choices pivotal. One evening, as they tucked Timmy in, Steele reflected, "We almost lost everything." Jordan smiled. "But we didn't. Loved one. Is it true that forgiveness always heals more than it hurts?"